Ebusiafo aha eye enkase TV senior ye no obeseswa wa me no wa share to other platform na nsem bi ebetu enkase TV bi anu ye bi eti no ehu ne ekoso o maga na ne wiase afa na ina de bi ada ne ensem fofora ebeto ye konso membese mesa oda drenjumra ne eti ensem bi eye Dr. Oko Boye a oda health insurance ano ade abetudwa enu na ne so say echeso oko interview ewo okosi sen enso na interview no mu no Juma so di NDC for no enye asam ketwa. Ni nan say ye Bank of Ghana sika sama say aye basa ho mana so say Bank of Ghana omo so mu hu sika bi e wo ho ma say sama say eye Dr. Oko Boye edi oye kanu enye asam ketwa. Se ni nan ne say ni na fi eye NDC party no na NDC for there nke eni senka ensem bi se mpuba mpanka so mu bi omo anompu nka say omo kebi na eye atofos mpodi ohun mpa na eche so ohun ne onfanya na eche se doctor edi nsem bebre egudwa mempese mensa wadaje ntie nyima na eche se yenti eye Dr. Oko Boye nsem bi eche se ode atudwa afa eye Bank of Ghana sikan sense ma eche se eba omaga ne mo meda wanse
we still believe it is untenable. What it means that now you are providing a solution that will help us even going into the future. How do you cut this? Then you suggest maybe do ABC. If you want to help this country, if we don't get into these details, this my brother would shout all the shouting. Power might come to them, and the next time you get BOG expenditure, you will be spending on the average $20 or $30 million on this maintenance cost. Hope you get what I'm saying. So we have to be dispassionate. There was another one on communications. Again, I listened to NDC communicators. The impression was that Obakura Bisobi said, "Hey, now press conference, oh baby, communications, oh." Obi. No. So you see,
no, communication here, media for
exactly. Obi.
How can we not say advertising?
Obi, you see, Obi, you see. So Obi, this is, me point in say, because some people have an intrinsic bias and they are looking for power, they might act in a way that will sway people along.
Yes.
But say 2 minutes. Bano one shot, the AC it will be worse. Look, without even seeking to go off course. Let me what's the word? We use a particular word, I just forgot. Let me digress a little bit. When Kufuor was about to leave office, the story in this country, when you listen, Ghana was like a failed state based on the story of the opposition. Accounts of officers were splashed. It was even more than the results of BOG. The atmosphere that this was a corrupt regime that had to go. People were hungry, kids were on the streets. Then power changed. For 8 good years, we had the people, Eric and Kwafono. When they were leaving 2016, what was the story in this country? You see, so my point is that if we don't take our time and go into details, people will sing songs, will change, and yet we'll be at the same place, Obi. So me now and Kase, Obi, spending recklessly on BOG, my and Fanny Sankano. But let's focus on the details. Communications. They say, press conference Afrobi. Only to be told, say, forex platforms are more operating with. I am a transfer from abroad.
Bloomberg,
license for whatever they are using. Obi, a health insurance. Me IT too strong. Me one of my IT department, say some license for software or Windows or whatever. Obi, the money was big, about $400,000. Timika me sign. I don't see why this plenty money will go into these licenses. And to me, another IT guy, I'm sure to bet me mommy another source cheaper. And I got a friend say, they are the only people who do it. If I don't do it, they are even about to close their window. It might cost more. And I'm a friend, IT guy, and say, next time, you should bet me for another corner now. The point I'm making is that it was a license in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. If the comps, these things are there, what you do is that check how much they are paying for the license. If average it costs $500,000, but they are paying $2 million, investigate and interrogate it. This is how we benefit from discussions. Than to sing the song that, hey, comes here, whoa, now, according to Obi, board expenses. Obi, a simple calculation. Well, $8 million was spent on the board.
Yeah.
And I was divided by their number. And to see average, then you should receive 80. It's
80,000. Yeah, I think people repeated
exactly.
that. Yeah.
I'm not here to say whether that figure is sufficient or too much. But guess what I'll do? If you want to make progress as an organization, quick thing I'll do is that I'll look at every 4 years or every 3 years or 2 years. Just a period. You won't trend. Obi, if you are Obi or critical in thinking, he always asks for a trend. So you know what is happening. If I check the trend and I realize that they spend an average of $1 million on the board, and there's not be a jump, then I go like, well, this is what they do, but is it okay or it must change? If it must change, what are the things? If it's discretion that is being applied, Obi, listen, if it's discretion and the law allows it, then it is the law you have to look at. If the airline does not specify how the board behaves, then you look at this thing so that when you get what you want, and my prayer is that you don't get it now because I'm in the opposite part. But assuming you get power, you don't have a situation where you have board members at BOG who will say that we are allowed to do the same thing. Obi, please, you get what I'm saying. So, Mepacho, the Omwayan church, and they said something about the debts.
Yes.
Obi, what was their books like before COVID struck? And when I say before, people say like, why is it? But you see, Obi, because of politics and other factors, someone will say, don't mention it. But for Christ's sake, when John Mahama went to Harvard and gave his speech, John Mahama, who is looking for power, mentioned the critical and very significant role COVID has played in throwing the fiscal picture of the whole continent out of place. John Mahama. Do you know why John Mahama stated that? Mahama knew, say, if he had not spoken like that and he had gotten out of the platform, they would see him as a joke. But when Mahama comes here to Ghana, in our country, because he's looking power, and he knows that the audience is different, he tells us that never mention COVID. Obi, I'm being brutally frank with you. And let me be honest, all our woes are not due to COVID, I admit. All of Ghana's woes are not due to COVID. Our debt accumulation contributed. When Dr. Bamia gave the speech, he even broke down the debts into our 3 components. Spoke about what was used in terms of the financing we had to do with COVID. Spoke about some of the energy agreements we had and how inefficient they were. And then spoke, I think, on the 3rd one about the banking sector reforms. Obi. So it's not COVID that accounted for everything. But it is not amazing that in speaking about J.Ch. Kwesi's case, the NDC tells you that COVID made the renunciation letter delay. That one, they are okay. Otherwise, on a normal day, someone would have asked, how can you have a relationship between an MP's legality and COVID, a virus? But they explain it to you. But when it comes to the fiscal and macroeconomics, they don't want to hear. The NDC is aware that the price of cement jumped 2-3 times, not because anything had changed in Ghana, but because the cost of freight went up about 400-500%. They know. But because they are looking for power, Obi.
Katrina.
Oh, sorry.
Omo paper went.
Cement bono on catch oda. Say raw material and free Norway no. Ya 2 times 3. AJ will not tell you. But what is interesting is that Oko Boye will tell you. So that if you decide or you are thinking of changing to bring a J, know that the cost might be the same or might even increase, Obi. That is what we are supposed to be supposed to be. I was saying you're brutally frank with the issues. Now, Obi, Adiba kwa mpese meka, and he say, Bank of Ghana, Obi, Bank of Ghana can be very, very. Obi, Bank of Ghana can be very deep.